All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And this is what I was hoping to share. And let's see, you should be able to see my screen without my vision here. Let me see if I can turn this off.
We have the we just have the PowerPoint.
Oh, good, excellent. Okay, that's what I wanted. Perfect. So last September on HRTX Group, I was a participant and spoke. Soon after that, I was approached by the folks at SeekOut to come work with them. And in October, I joined their team. So now I'm actually talking to my friends and colleagues around the country, showing them the things that I like best about SeekOut and what it can do for the recruiting organization. So we are a paid sponsor of the event, and so I have about 20 minutes to show you some of the fun things that I've discovered and are using in the tool regularly and sharing with clients. It is not a full demonstration in any way, shape, or form. What we'd like you to do is, if you like what you see here and would like a full demonstration within our sales team, we will go ahead and provide you a free t-shirt at the end and let you sign up for a demo. If you see something you like, please give us a call. SeekOut is a tool that is really designed to help give a competitive edge for recruiters who are looking for hard to find or diverse candidates. We do make it easier to find publicly available information, which includes contact information if necessary, on things that you normally would search on: LinkedIn, GitHub, patents and presentations that are being published at conferences. Our public source database is a collection of over 400 million profiles. And those profiles have elements that you would expect that they would normally have on other sites. So we do have the ability to give you great analytics about the collections of the pools of the candidates you're finding. We do have the ability to help you diversify and find candidates in those pools with filters that you wouldn't normally find available in other tools that are out there. Okay, so you can see on the right-hand side here on my screen, we do take something like the public profiles that are available on LinkedIn, and we can take that information and we can add another layer of tagging on it that provides female, Hispanic, Black, Asian, veterans, so that you can see what the talent pool that you're sourcing. Take all the other filters that you have and then lay this other diversity filter if needed to help you build diversity in your pools and slates that you're going to be presenting. So many people know us for those two areas: graphics and analytics and diversity. But I want to talk a little bit to this community about some of our power filters and even talk a little bit about how you construct searches in our tool that are different than what you can construct searches in other tools. Okay, HRTX as a group are a group of recruiters and sourcers who are a little bit above average, especially if you've attended some of the seminars throughout the summer or have been enriching your knowledge. You're not the average recruiters. SeekOut is for the recruiters who are beginners, because we do have AI and cloning capability for those recruiters who need assisted guided AI machine learning search building. But for those who don't, those who really like to get into specific searches and know their Boolean and know how to construct searches in a certain way, our tool is a remarkable tool for that. And that's why I joined the organization, to build complex searches that other recruiters aren't building or other AI systems aren't building, so that you get an advantage. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to jump into. And I want to show you kind of a search set that is typical of recruiting and things that you can build in our organization. And I'll share with you some of these specific filters, and we'll go in and actually play around with some of these in a little bit. But I wanted to kind of show, here's an example of the zero-level search that I think most recruiters do, is they put in a set of keywords in a location. And that is what most recruiters do. They'll go in and maybe put on a LinkedIn free or any database they're accessing, they'll put in a series of keywords. I'm just going to use an example here in my set that is for recruiting for your own team, recruiters and sourcers that are in the United States. COVID this summer has changed a lot of things for us, and many of the recruiting organizations I work with now are having to build nationwide searches when previously they only had to worry about local searches. And that made the complexity much greater, because now the haystack is much taller and you have many millions of more candidates to look at than a 20-mile radius around your office, or several offices in this case. So if we're starting to do nationwide searches, in some cases, some of the organizations we work with are doing global searches now because of remote working. And that has added to the complexity for the recruiters to really fine tune and filter the best searches available. Okay, so after recruiters are given, a keyword and location search, then they start layering on other filters, other parameters that can help them. No recruiter I know can nail a single search and find all the best candidates on their first attempt. What they typically do is they stack their searches. Maybe the second search that I would recommend and you can build is the past title only search. Now, if you think about that for a moment, a past title only search, if you look at anybody's resume, probably your own resume, there's far more titles that are past titles than current titles, okay? And the past titles are available on most sites, but some sites don't let you separate past titles from current titles. For example, I may want someone who previously was a source or recruiter who's not in management now, or maybe they are in management, or maybe they're an owner of their own business now because they're a contractor, or maybe they're on consulting. So they may not have sourcer or recruiter in their current title, but for the past 7, 8 titles they've had in the past, one of those keywords, sourcer, recruiter, recruiting, talent acquisition, has been in their title. So if you think about it, most of us have a single job, a single current title, but many of us have multiple, as many as 5, 6, 7 titles of previous jobs. So I know many recruiters don't like using titles, but putting in past titles, I just realized I have an error here. I'll fix this slide before I send it out. There should be an S on the end here for the colon. You want to be able to search past titles in our site or in any tool you're using. I separate past title searches from my past and current title searches. Current title searches are down here on step 3, because what happens is I don't know what their current title is, and I don't really care what their current title is. What I really want to know is what they are doing that is relevant now. Okay, so past titles make a lot of sense. Now, past companies make a lot of sense also. I don't really know if I can recruit people away from these big dog companies because maybe I'm working for a smaller outfit that isn't as competitive from a benefit standpoint. So I might layer on past companies only because I don't really care where they are. They may be unfortunately laid off and not currently working at those companies now, but have previously at some point in their career, and someone who has worked. So I'm not trying to pick on any people in this companies that are, if you were on the line, not trying to insult anybody. I just wanted to pick, these are marquee companies that hire hundreds of recruiters and sourcers and have good reputations of having good organizations. So you pick companies in past that are previous companies and previous titles that make sense. You can do it at the same time or layer it, okay? Now, at that point, many recruiters do start looking for current companies and current titles. So you can start layering the current company here and then add the current titles on top of this if necessary. But this is a separate layer because if you're a company that can't recruit people away from these companies, your benefits package isn't strong, or you just don't have the marquee, it's going to be a very difficult search or a high probability of no response. So I really recommend you kind of look at that and see what levels you have from a competitiveness when you're going after companies. But you don't have to build these searches all at the same time. You can build them incrementally and see the results. I'm going to stop here before I go down to the next view, and I want to show kind of how this looks in production for recruiters, okay? So let's just go back. I think I have this saved on the other side. So if we go something like this, and we just start with, just looking for someone in talent acquisition who has past company experience or past titles, okay? You can go back and look for people who have past titles or past companies fairly easily and just see where they are. So here's a search in the United States. And I'm going to go ahead and pull some of this stuff out so you're not going to get confused with seeing a whole bunch of extra stuff. Okay, so here's an example. I'm just saying, find me people who have, I'm going to take TA out of there for right now. It's just a little bit more than I wanted in the example. And I'm just looking for people in the keywords here as such. I don't have to worry about any of the facets. In our tool, in SeekOut, you have the ability to say, I want people in the United States region, and you want people that just have this keyword set here. Okay, and I can do as many as I need, but in this case, I'm just going to stick with the simple 5 that I started with. Okay, and if I don't want to do full stemming, I can actually put a wildcard in here if I want, but in this example, I wanted to show you what you might be able to use in other sites as well that don't support wildcards or stemming or other things. So in this case, I'm going to keep it with ing here. I'm going to keep it with sourcer here rather than putting a wildcard in, but we do support wildcards if necessary. Now, I can say at this point, go ahead and look at past titles, or I can say past companies, and I can bring those in very, very easily and use them as necessary in my search. But I'm going to start with past titles because with past titles, I'm going to be able to see all the titles that are in their history here, clearly where we're finding the titles. Okay, and that's going to really give us some insight on what other titles maybe their current titles are. So if I go back up to the top here, I can use our graphical representation to say, okay, people who have these skills in my keywords, I could put 100 keywords in there, who have historically had these titles. Now, I did put a not in here because I do know that some organizations are procurement and sourcing is something in procurement. So if you want to add a not or two, you can throw that in just to clean up some of the data if necessary. So it's a little more advanced, but recruiters do it all the time. And I can go back in here and I can say, well, what are the titles of people who have these skills currently and where are they residing? What's interesting is the people who have these types of skills and past titles have interesting titles now. I noticed that human resource manager and HR generalist come up very high in the search results. And recruiters tend to focus on just looking for recruiters and sourcers in here, but the fact is there are many, many HR generalists who do recruiting and sourcing and have had their payroll title to be quite different. Okay, there's a lot of recruiters who historically were recruiters and sourcers and now are account managers for staffing agencies or are client-side facing recruiters who aren't sourcing as much but have had that skill. That's why we see account managers there. But look at this number down here, owner. There's a lot of recruiters who own their own businesses as contractors and recruiters that come up. 4,000 of them are owners. So this gives you insight on figuring out where they are. Some of the diversity tags will kind of show you what percentages. Interesting that a high percentage of women are in sourcing and recruiting and doing quite well, but the percentages are really small for some of the diversity groups that we're looking for, and that could vary for many different reasons. Okay, past companies, very interesting. We start seeing things like ex-Air Force, ex-Army, ex-Navy, ex-Marine Corps, because there's a lot of recruiters and recruiting activity done in those organizations. But the fact is, the transitioning of those military and veterans coming out and working in recruiting organizations is very common as well. So a lot of people don't think about that, but those types of recruiters do make very good recruiters. Okay, so I like to show some of the insights that are involved in this before we start layering on some of the other search sets that we can do here. Okay, now the level that we can do here can really be interesting. You can actually put in a bunch of nice to have words. Okay, nice to have words are words that are related to past companies, okay, and preferences. So nice to have words are words that are not required in the job set, but are words that we wish the recruiting organization had. Okay, so we would like them to have previously worked with SeekOut. We hope they previously used LinkedIn Recruiter. Maybe they've been at SourceCon or HRTX or Talent 42 speaking events or training at these events. So nice to have words are not required in the profile. It means that if all the stuff above this is true, we use a syntax at SeekOut called true equals yes. So if everything above this is true, then highlight and add this additional criteria to it. Okay, and that's a very different search than most recruiters have ever run or can run and have tried to build this out in a way that is kind of unique. So when I go over and kind of show the recruiters here kind of how this looks, it's true equals, and then you can put a variety of other fields or other words in here. These could be preferred titles. These could be preferred companies, preferred schools, preferred certifications, but they're not necessarily have to have, okay? They give additional weight and additional highlighting on the resume that gives you the ability to boost or move things up in the ranking because they have these additional schools, these potential companies, but they're not required, okay? These are nice to have, and they don't have to be just companies. They can be many different things. So we talked about my previous presentations in the past. I've talked about putting in a redundant "and" in your Boolean search. Well, this has the ability to do nice to have phrases, which is far better than most tools that are out there who don't have the ability to do that. So if you have never tried to build nice to have searches in addition to required keywords at the top here, nice to haves really can build your searches and really find and bring those top people up to the top very, very fast. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the last few fields that we also find great results in. Many candidates, software engineers, programmers, folks who are difficult to find will purposely leave off or misspell things in their titles or make their current companies kind of very difficult to find. They'll misspell things or change things. But what's interesting is you can often find them in their headlines because they'll actually put things in headlines or in summaries that can be very, very helpful. So what you can do is you can actually, we've made it possible so that rather than what you could do in an X-ray search on Bing or Google, you can actually divide these profiles into different sections. So we can search just the headline, or we can search just the summary rather than the entire profile or just keywords. The headline and summary searches can really find candidates. So after you've exhausted looking for people with current and past titles that you're looking for, then shut those off and turn on only people who are not those values, and then look for people with headlines and summaries. This is a kind of an exhaustive search that goes way beyond just looking at current titles, okay? You'll find people that other recruiters won't find because they're not using the title field, okay? It'll make a huge difference. We have also some recruiters in the next level search that are looking for specifically positions and descriptions. This would be the section that you have underneath each resume, each title, excuse me, on your resume or on your profiles that include the descriptions. These are the 3 or 4 bullets that people put underneath the job. Now, what's nice about that is we can use past tense verbs here, and we can combine past tense verbs with other words, proximity searching, and be able to find words that are combined and near each other down here, complete phrases if necessary. So position descriptions are great to find how people are actually doing things at a particular company with a particular title. So by combining current company, current title, or past company, past title, and past positions, you can actually get very good clarity on what they're doing that's sometimes different than what you'd see in their summaries. Okay, so I like to show this progression because many recruiters don't really do this in an organized way. They don't start with just a keyword and location search and then build and then build and then build and then build. They try to do it all in one search. And the fact is, I've never seen a search that is inclusive, that is not improved by reiterating and modifying the searches. Most recruiters I know save at least 5 to 6 searches with every search they build. So we'll make this set available here so you can keep this and kind of help. I'll fix my typos I have on here and give you the ability to use this as a framework or kind of a model to be able to search in a series. This is not SeekOut specific. You could do a lot of these with other sites as well. Just look at what they call their fields, or if you're using an applicant tracking system internally or CRM, you may have these same capabilities inside your CRM. If not, SeekOut does integrate with CRMs and give you the ability to use our interface to search those other sites with a very simple integration as well. So you can search internally and externally at the same time through the same interface. So those are some of the things I wanted to share and kind of show you that our tool can do for you and why I joined the organization. It isn't that difficult to see why so many companies that are on this call and are participating today use our product and use our tool to complement what they can do with their existing tools in their internal databases. We overlay and make being able to do other external public data searches easier and refined far better than you could do with Bing or Google itself. So we are going to provide everybody on the call here with the ability to get free t-shirts if you want to try a demo. We'd love to have one of our sales guys show you, it could be me, it could be one member of my team, show you exactly how you can find what your competition is finding using our tool and how you can compete with the best and build better searches as an organization. So I will wrap it up. Be part of the team, put your logo on our sheet, and we'll gladly help you find better candidates. This is how you get a hold of us. Go ahead.
Yep. So Eric, we got some questions, and I just launched a poll, so they're not going to see your screen right here. So for everybody that's seeing the poll, if you want to get this swag, the T-shirt, which you just had up, it's a really nice T-shirt. Just go ahead and hit yes, and we'll get you going with Eric. But Eric, let me in the last minute or so that we have, I want to run a couple of quick questions by you, but fast answers because we're at the time. You send the T-shirt to everyone not just in the U.S. So yeah, UK is fine. We like the people in the UK sometimes. How does SeekOut obtain profile information of candidates for like LinkedIn, GitHub, Stack Overflow?
So these are publicly profiles. So if you on GitHub, if you on LinkedIn, check the box on your profile that says, I would like public search on Google and Bing. That is how we're able to publish. This is public information that the seekers have said they want distributed publicly throughout the search engines.
Okay. And let's do one more. We got a bunch, and Eric, I'm going to pass these over to you so that you can answer, and we'll make sure that you get in contact with the people asking. What's the biggest differentiator between SeekOut and LinkedIn or LinkedIn Recruiter?
So LinkedIn Recruiter has the capability to do some of these fields, but not all these fields. For example, you can't search certifications currently. You can't divide a search and say, I want to search for a current title this, but their past title is something different. Previously a recruiter, but currently a vice president. You can't run searches like that. So by dividing some of these fields, being able to search headline, being able to search summary, those searches are not available on LinkedIn. And there's dozens of other ones. Proximity search, wildcards, being able to search two things next to each other and put a wildcard in to simplify your searches that you're using in your other sites so that you can run them here as well without having to retype them all. Those are some of the biggest differences.
Okay, perfect. And let me see. So Eric, we do have some additional questions. I'm going to gather those up and I'm going to get them out to you so that you have them and you can respond back. But of course, you always come back as one, even as a vendor. You come back as a super popular speaker, which is awesome. So that's good to see. You don't present yourself as a vendor there. So awesome. So Eric, thank you so much, and I'm gonna let you go, and we're gonna move on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Stanley. Good to talk to everyone. Bye now.